If I Should Die by Donevy Westphal. Available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other retailers. Chapter 2, page 16. Julius glanced up as the man stood and turned his head toward the booth. It took all Julius's self-control not to choke. He looked away quickly, pretending to rescue his napkin from falling. He knew that face, a face like chiseled granite. Those eyes, those sapphire blue eyes, cold as ice, or hot enough to burn a hole right through you. There could be no mistake. The family resemblance was far too strong. It was his dad's face from 20 years ago. But his father would be in his 70s now. But how? Questions pummeled his mind. All of his family lived back in North Carolina. No one lived in the Midwest. No one. His father had 3 siblings, 4, but his older brother had died in the war. None lived here, but short of a doppelganger, that was the only explanation for a family member to be 1,200 miles and 14 years away from Julius's youth. He fought as his mind wanted to slide back in time to when he had left home. A time of confusion and turmoil. He stared at his plate with unseeing eyes. Refill? Becky approached with a coffee pot. Julius held out his cup, thankful for the distraction. You just passing through? I've never seen you around here before. In a manner, he sipped his coffee, buying time, of speaking. I'm working on a book about small towns across America. He felt like someone had given him a sucker punch between the eyes. And collecting stories and pictures, there's supposed to be a local bed and breakfast? Bed and breakfast, mister? She cocked her head to one side, waiting for him to name. The name's Julius. Julius C. Armstrong. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Armstrong. Let's see. She waggled her pen in the air. You go out here to the end of the block, and 3 blocks right to the edge of the town, about a quarter of a mile down the road, maybe less. It's a big old house. About a stone's throw, then? That'd be right, she smiled. Becky, we need a refill, Tom called. Sure, be right with you, Mr. Brooks. The waitress grabbed a fresh coffee pot and headed to the booth. Oh, go on, she came back laughing at their teasing. This food is excellent, Julius tried to lead into the nagging question in his mind. By the way, jerking his head, indicating the pair sitting at the booth. Who are those fellows? Mr. Brooks is in the overalls. She stopped speaking as 2 pickup trucks clattered to a stop outside. Say, her gaze moved toward the big front windows. If you want dessert, you better order fast. Business picks up right directly. Some folks come just for the pie. We have some mighty fine pie. The doors on the truck slammed, emphasizing her words. He raised his right eyebrow. What kind? Today we have strawberry cream, chocolate, raspberry, cherry, and apple, all homemade. Cherry and a dollop of ice cream. His mouth watered as he waited. Julius savored his pie and puzzled over the man in the cowboy hat. There could be no mistake. The question came at him again. How had that man come to be here? As people surged into the restaurant, the noise level rose to a loud drone. The original pair, Tom Brooks and the cowboy hat, walked out the door as Julius scooped up the last bite of pie. Time to vamoose, he handed the money to the thin old woman at the register. Everything all right? She asked, in a gravelly voice. Real good, ma'am. Best food I've had in a long time. Glad to hear it. Pop don't want any complaints about his cooking. Her wrinkled face drew into a smile. Say, Hiram McCormick sends his regards. Julius remembered the old man's admonition. Hiram McCormick? That name doesn't ring a bell. Must be a friend of Pop's. She handed him his change and slid the register drawer shut. You come back soon. Thank you. I expect I will. He nodded his head and walked out. He unlocked his car and found his carry-on bag. Rummaging in the side compartment, he produced a pair of walking shoes. Been sitting too long. He tied his shoes and then stood and got to his bearings. Okay, to the end of the block, then 3 blocks right to the edge of town. He moved through the directions until he arrived at the town's edge. He squinted at the house in the distance. Closer to a mile, I'd say. Julius hesitated, but decided to walk it anyway. He blotted his face with a handkerchief and slowed his pace as he reached the paved driveway, which led to a three-car garage that had what appeared to be an apartment above it. An open breezeway connected the garage to the house. His experienced eye told him the house had once been a medium-sized two-story farmhouse. Someone had invested time and money in stonework, additions, renovations, and landscaping. A 5-foot wrought iron fence surrounded a sizable front lawn. Wow, this place is gorgeous. Julius never expected a bed and breakfast in this small town to be so luxurious. He strode up the driveway looking for the bed and breakfast sign. He opened the wrought iron gate and followed the broad stone path leading past a large screened-in front porch, a bay window, and around a tower on the north corner of the house. Still no sign. Should be here someplace. He continued along the path which led to a backyard gate framed with a trellis covered in leaves and tiny rose blossoms. Though through the trellis lay a yard with raised beds of kitchen garden vegetables and herbs. Vivid flowers, scattered higgly-piggly among the plants, caught the eye. A sturdy maple tree dominated a patio, shading picnic tables and chairs. In the distance, pine trees stood sentry at the yard's perimeter, sheltering old-fashioned lilacs, flowering trees, and a children's play area. The back screen door whooshed open and slammed shut, and a tall woman crunched down a pea-gravel path. Her large garden hat concealed most of her face, but her purposeful walk and the brandishing of her garden hoe contained a haunting memory. Muttering in an animated conversation, she leaned her hoe against the raised bed. Oh, bother! She slipped off her sandal and shook it, releasing a shower of pea gravel. Losing her balance, she inadvertently sat on the path with a loud crunch. Julius swung the gate open and strode the short distance to where she sat. You know, that's not a good place to sit, he spoke in a pleasant voice. Oh, she gasped and clutched a hand over her heart. What a godsend! I thought you were Ruth. You see, I lost my dignity. She gave the appearance of searching for something on the ground. But I guess it isn't down here. She shrugged and laughed. If you would help me up. She held up her hands. Before Ruth gets here, I would be especially grateful, kiddo. And don't talk too loud. Ruth gets somewhat excited when she finds me sitting in odd places. As if on cue, a woman's musical voice called out, Mrs. M, where are you? Are you all right? See what I mean? She whispered as he grasped her hands and helped her stand. It'll be our secret. Years seemed to peel away as he helped her to her feet. The memory of the unblemished face of a younger woman playing patty cake with a baby took her place. The younger woman's hair, a corn silk yellow, fell in soft waves highlighted by the morning sun. Everybody loves my baby, that's why I'm in love with you, pretty baby. And her laughter mixed with the baby's coo as she finished the song. He shook his head slightly to clear the memory. The older woman returned as she spoke to someone. I'm right here, dearie, she called to the unseen Ruth. And yes, I'm all right, just talking to this fine young gentleman. She dusted herself off and rearranged her simple cotton dress and upon an apron into proper order. The name is Julius C. Armstrong. He gave her his pseudonym, watching closely while he waited as she straightened her collar. She didn't seem to recognize him, but what did that prove? Amanda MacDonald, fighting with her unruly hat, she leaned on his arm as he helped her to one of the chairs under the maple tree. Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. She gave up on the hat and tossed it onto the picnic table. Here, let me help you. He arranged the pillows, then helped her settle into the chair. At the sound of light, quick footsteps crunching on the path behind him, he turned quickly. A woman had halted abruptly, avoiding running into him by mere inches. His heart did crazy flip-flops when he gazed down into her brilliant blue eyes. Miranda? In his mind, he blessed his thorough training. His mother had drilled her children often with the reprimand. Close your mouth, you're not a cod.